Hi guys, my name is Brady and welcome back to the channel. I missed you guys last week and I'm sorry. I tried my best. If you saw the video the week before, I was already playing catch up and I was struggling to get a video out. So unfortunately, I had to miss my first week of YouTube. I'm sorry. But we're back here with a highly suggested video and a lot of you guys have asked me for a video talking about a budget yet compact lighting setup for us run and gun on the go creators. A lot of us are either traveling on public transportation, flying very frequently yet still need lighting, or just run and gun and we don't need a heavy load on our backs, which is why I put together this video of a budget yet compact lighting setup that you can fit all in a backpack for on the go. And of course, quality is the most important. So among all of this compact and budgetness, we still need to make sure that our final image looks fantastic. So after we pack all of this up, we're gonna go out to a shoot and use this exact lighting kit for a lighting setup. But before we dive into things, if you like this video or any of the other videos on this channel, please hit that like button and that subscribe button. It'll make me just really happy. So, of course, the lighting is the most important of this kit. So why not start with our light source? And one that we're working with here is an Aputure Amaran F7. They're super small, compact, can literally fit in your pocket, and they run just on battery sources. So they run on these NPF Sony batteries and they just pop on, and this is your light source, and it actually packs a fantastic little punch. It's kind of a directional light, and on top of that, it's bicolor. So having at least one or two of these in your arsenal is probably going to be a great idea. And another even more compact option for a light in your kit is an Aputure MC, which are fantastic bicolor and RGB light sources, and you can pretty much throw these things everywhere, especially because you've got the magnets on the back there, so you can just slap it right there and there you go. And these can act as a nice rim light as well as a fill light in your room or in your scene. And these take up practically zero room. So if you've got the budget for it, you can certainly get more, but I've just got two here to work with. And then to soften them up, you've got these little gels that go right over the top of the MCs just to add a little bit softer of a light source. So we've got our lighting equipment here down, very compact. We've got that there, but to power it, like I said before, the NPF batteries, a handful of these are going to be very helpful. These are pretty much universal to a lot of gear that you're going to have, so it can't hurt to add up and just have like 5, 10, 15 of these NPF batteries. But since these F7s aren't the absolute brightest, they're not going to compare to like a 300D or something like that. When you're battling light, you may run into issues of brightness and power because you might be running these at 100% for longer periods of time. So if you're somewhere indoors, it can't hurt to bring an extension cord on set just so you can throw that into the wall, bring it over, plug it into AC, which you can do with these, or DC power, and then you're good to go. You don't need to worry about any sort of batteries, changing batteries, any other power solutions like that. So now we've got our power solution down. 5-in-1 discs are going to be your best friend. This is as compact as they go. I usually throw it in the front of the backpack, but they pop open to being a large source. And you've either got a white or gold or silver or black on the inside, but you can also, as you see, silver and black. And you also can see that there is the diffuser in the middle, which is going to be your best friend with these Amarans because they're small, but throwing it through a silk like this is going to diffuse your light significantly. So something like this that you can just fold up into a small compact little disc is gonna be your best friend, especially when it comes to being compact and on the go. So that disc is gonna be great for bounce, negative fill, diffusion, plenty of different combinations, and a great tool to have in your kit. But of course we could stand to have a couple stands. So these are compact light stands, really small, really lightweight. Of course there are sturdier solutions, but I figured we're on the go. We want something to be able to strap into our backpack. So these are gonna be great. And of course, to mount the lights to the stands, these ball heads work fantastically. You can just screw them on in to your light source. And then once you got the ball head on the light, super easy to just screw that onto your stand. Bam, there you go. And now you've got a really compact light on a stand to blow through some diffusion. So the ball heads work fantastic, but also, especially for the MCs, having some of these 3M stickies just to slap to the back of your light and then to throw onto something are going to be super convenient if you don't have metal to mount the magnets to on the MCs. So these are going to be very much in handy, or as well, gaff tape. I am running low, so apologies for that. But gaff tape is fantastic, but be cautious putting gaff tape onto walls, onto paint, because I've learned from experience, it rips paint off. And also I want to say with the gaff tape, if you're running an extension cord or any cords anywhere, be sure to gaff tape them down. You don't want anybody tripping. It'll pull cords down. It might hurt people. It might make cords and lights fall on people. So use gaff tape to tape your cords down. That's a safety hazard. But then clamps, it's helpful to have some of these little spring clamps in your bag so you can mount things. You can mount the reflector onto stands. I've actually got this duckbill clamp where it's great for just throwing it straight onto the stand, throwing your stand down, and then throwing your diffusion straight over there. The duckbill just opens straight up, and now you've got your diffusion source. You want to throw some light through it? Bam, there you go. Now you've got a soft, larger source to work with. So these duckbill clamps are something that you're really going to be happy with, as well as the spring clamps, which I'll throw all of this in the description below. And one thing to keep in your bag that doesn't apply to lighting, but is going to be your saving grace, is a hoodie. And any kind of sweatshirt, especially if you're on set for a long period of time, temperature is gonna change, it might get cold. So I always keep a Cuts hoodie in my bag here, super comfortable and wrinkle free. So when it's jammed in there and it's tucked away and you pull it out, you're not gonna look super unprofessional. So I'll typically show up to location wearing a Cuts tee. If it's warmer out, something that's gonna be lightweight, comfortable, easy to work in. Then if it, say, cools down, you've got a nice, comfortable hoodie to throw on there just to keep you warm, keep you nimble, lightweight, flexible, so on and so forth. So no pressure or anything, but if you use code BradyBissett or use the link down below to go straight to the Cuts website, you too can have Cuts hoodies and Cuts tees for 15% off. So now we're gonna get this all packed into your bag. And one thing I do to kind of cut corners and save space is get rid of the cases for these, since you're gonna be running it in a backpack. And then you've got room for 2 of these Amarans in 1 slot. So that's gonna be super lightweight. Got 2 of them in there as well. And one thing that I wanna mention that I forgot to mention before is these also have this little diffusion card to go right over the front just to soften things up a little bit more. So now you almost have 2 layers of diffusion going through that silk. We'll get to later. So I'm gonna throw one of those in there as well. Now the MCs that I forgot over there, that take up no room. Find a little corner, stick those in there. Diffusion can go in there as well. I usually find a nice little tight space. They're rubber so they bend, so on and so forth. And then all our batteries, I like to make a little slot like this. Bam, bam, bam. And I want to take a second to talk about this backpack. I have had this thing for 10 years. This was my first camera backpack that I've ever worked with. So definitely not promoting this. I think it's Burton. I got it so I could snowboard and all of that with my camera bag, but it's held up over everything out in Alaska and Utah and Arizona, traveling everywhere. It fits so much stuff. So moving on, let's find a place for our clamps. Bam, good and great. Let's just stick those in there. And this isn't really a tutorial of where to put these. You know, just find a home for them, put them away nice and tidy. I'll stick the 3M things in there as well. We have so much room left. Does it fit? I guess we can't bring the Nova. Almost forgot about our little duckbill clamp. We'll find a home for that as well. Bam, just like that. We'll stick that in a different spot. You close that up. Bam. And now that that's flipped over, I'll take the reflector in there. I'll stick it right in this front pouch that you've got there. Then on top of the reflector, I'm just gonna slide in a little hoodie there as well. Remember, wrinkle free, doesn't matter how you jam it in there. Throw on the stands now. Bam, locked and loaded. This is all jammed into this backpack. And even if you don't have just a mirrorless camera like an EOS R to work with and you've got more of a rigged up setup, a lot of the times I just show up with my camera fully rigged, set it up. So there we go, it takes up less time when you're setting up and you don't have to jam it into a backpack. So this is often gonna be my run and gun on the go setup going to location. So let's head on out to our first location and set up this lighting setup. So here we are on location in this setup that I've just created on my house, but we're gonna pretend that we just took a train and a flight and everything else to get here, so we could only fit everything in a backpack. So I got a little bit of a head start on you guys, putting the lights up here, and I'm just about to put on the silk on this duckbill clamp for this light stand for our diffusion. So we've got that on. That's really as easy as it goes. Just slap it in as my clamp breaks, throw it up. And when you're putting it in front of your light source, you want to remember to give yourself a little bit of space between the actual light and your silk and your diffusion, because otherwise it's just going to have a little bit of a cover over the front of it, and it's not going to have a lot of room to spread and capture this source, because now this is going to be your light source. So make sure you leave at least a foot or so of room. But one thing I want to take a look at that I thought is pretty cool is that these F7s have a 1/4 inch thread on the top and bottom of each of the lights. So since they don't give the brightest output, I took this little arm that I had in my bag and I just put the two together. So one is just free floating there like so. And now we've got the power of two of them on one stand. So still maintaining very compact and very small, but just having a little bit more output. So let's go ahead and throw this in front of our diffusion. And I also put over the front of them one just thin white diffusion sheets that comes with the F7. So we've got that in place. So now looking at the frame, you're starting to get this really nice wrap around my face, and it's starting to look pretty soft compared to how it would without any diffusion in place. So yeah, it looks all right, but you know, it still does feel a little bit sourcey. So, but now since the shot does look a little bit sourcey with our one light source, I wanted to extend our lighting and bring more depth into the background. So I took an MC and one of the little diffusers that we packed along with us, and I found this light over in the corner of the room. So I'm just gonna drop this in there, and I put that to 3200 Kelvin as well. So both our light sources are matched up at 3200 Kelvin just to make things clean and simple. So I plopped that light in there, and now it's acting as if there is a bulb in there. And I know Aputure also has the B7C bulb, but we're going on a budget and going compact, so I opted out of throwing one in there. And now with just the Amaranths through that 5-in-1 silk and the MC bulb there, everything looks really, really nice and really, really soft with all things considered. Now, one thing that I do want to talk about is that these lights are not the brightest lights. So you definitely want to be mindful that you're working in a controlled lighting environment. I've got all the windows here blacked out, so I'm not fighting any daylight. If there were to be any daylight coming in, I may face a few more issues. But if you're in a locked off room or a closed off room, no windows, a basement, something like that, we're shooting at night, there's really no issues, and this lighting looks impressively soft for what it is. So this is a very quick and clear example of how powerful yet compact this lighting kit can be. And of course, we still have some lights left over. So say I'm looking at the shot and I'm like, well, there's a lot of shadow side over here. Let's bring out a rim light. Let's take an MC out of the bag. And remember, the magnets in the back, look how easy this is. Bam, slap it on there, and you've got yourself a rim light. Obviously, the placement isn't always perfect. I don't think I'd ideally want to set a rim light right up here over my head, but it works and it's compact and it looks pretty darn good. So guys, that wraps up this week's video of a light kit that can fit in a backpack or even your pockets if you're talking about just the Amaranths and the MCs. But if you like this video, found it helpful, or any of the other videos on my channel, please, pretty please, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next week. Thank you so much, and class dismissed. Oh, and one more thing that I want to start adding to the channel that you guys have asked a lot for, and now it's time, and we're kind of going to figure it out as we go with things. But I want to review your footage, and I want you guys to send me stuff so we all can learn from it. So we're going to call it Show and Tell, because the classroom holds theme and it's just fun. So Show and Tell is what it is, and how it's going to work is you guys are going to email me your footage if you would like to the email BradyBassettShowandTell@gmail.com. It's long because I'm obnoxious and I'm sorry, but please keep the file sizes small, MP4, MOV, just so it's not like ridiculous large file sizes. And then in the email, attach what you would like me to look at, whether it's the color or the lighting or the composition, and also fill me a little bit in as to what you shot with, your gear used, your lighting setup, just so I can really put myself in your shoes so we can all learn from it the most. So Show and Tell, that's the new name for it, new segment on the channel. We're kind of just gonna roll into it and ease into it slowly, but I figured it's time to give it a whirl. So thank you all so much. I'm really excited for this, and have a great rest of your week.